Good morning, sorry, no, not morning, afternoon everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I have had an epiphany over the last few days that I must admit I have forgotten to mention. For once, it didn't go in one ear and out the other. No, it is to do with ordinary people, pensioners especially, who were potentially made to sell their homes, or they attempted to force the pensioners to sell their homes to make room for illegal immigrants. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe in you've got to earn your keep rather than be given it. After all, we're already generous enough as it is. I mean, we've taken in far more illegals and legal people than any other country, I would say. I know there is a saying of killing people with kindness, but the only people we're killing right now with that kindness is ourselves, especially under the regime of Keir the Traitor Starmer. But I don't want to focus too much on him. I've already ripped him a new arsehole as is. How many is that now, Keir the Traitor Starmer? He asked as he was sitting on the toilet. 2. Anyway, back on point. The matter is that these pensioners should not be giving up their homes for anybody who has no legal or human right to be here. And the councils have no right to make other people who've earned their keep basically give up their homes. This started around mid-2024 though, but we should not be giving up our country or our homes to any of these illegals. It's interesting because unless I've been hiding under a rock all this time, good luck finding one big enough for me, but unless I've been living under a rock, I haven't seen anybody talk about the factor of pensioners of our own country being forced to sell their homes. Unfortunately, we can't blame the nonce party, I mean the Labour Party, or maybe I was right first time, for this one, unfortunately. But what I can blame the nonce party for is for allowing millions more, or hundreds of thousands more bare minimum, to come over here. It's scary to think that Labour have projected that there will be 10 million migrants coming into this country by 2030. And I suspect, just like we're living in today right now, I suspect the vast majority of them will be illegal. And bear in mind, this is the 10 million figure, the ones they want to tell us about. I suspect they're not going to tell us how many more are going to come through that are basically undocumented. After all, there are more secrets going around in the nonce party than in a game of Cluedo. There's more U-turns than a Tesco's car park, and less principals than a leaderless high school. Oh, fuck off. There's my bus sitting up there. I'm probably going to get to the bus stop before I have any chance to run for it, so I'm not even going to bother with this one. Anyway, the point is, Keir the Traitor Starmer won't tell us what's really going on. And I wouldn't trust the Office of National Statistics to give us the real figures either, quite frankly. God, the lighting is obnoxious today, and my eyes are doing something awful to me. And while I do accept that the Office of National Statistics, stroke number 1, the Office of National Statistics did release the figures of COVID deaths, it doesn't change the fact I do not trust them one bit. After all, they're attached to the government. So, stands to reason, if they release any figures as far as the amount of illegals that have crossed the channel, at best I would expect them to lowball it, and at worst I expect them to be completely dishonest about it. But why should these pensioners have to give up their own damn homes for some people coming along from their third world shitholes just so that they can have a little bit of luxury? Surely our pensioners, who've put in more work than these illegals ever could or ever will in most cases, surely they should be keeping their homes. If you want to renovate some empty places or something, or if you want to designate areas where you aren't going to do that much harm, that's one thing. But to take away people's homes after they've spent their entire lives saving up and living their lives, paying in taxes and contributing to the country, then that's just absolutely fucking ludicrous. I mean, why should we tolerate that? Thankfully, I won't have that problem because my thing's owned by the council. But it doesn't change the fact there are people who have been from the middle of 2024 been suffering because they've been given by councils basically this paperwork that tries to force them to sell their home. And it really does beg the question, are these councils for their people or against them? I mean, all this is about as much of stroke number 2 is as much of a pleasure to the eyes as it is on a baboon's arse. A stroke every 2.5 minutes. This is going to be fun. But I digress. Why should we give up our homes? Why should we, in any scenario, give up our homes to people that are at best untrustworthy, and at worst undocumented and could be criminal? And the thing is, the government cannot fully guarantee that these people are safe. And if I was Prime Minister and I had that shit coming in, I'd at least have the dignity to say that I cannot say in good faith that these guys are good for the country. God, it's always nice seeing some of the locals who understand just how much shit we're in right now. But we need more people who are willing to fight for their country, willing to fight for the pensioners as well. No, not fight them. Let's not turn into the barbarians that come over here. But I mean actually fight for the pensioners, fight for their rights, and fight for their homes, quite frankly. The people who've paid in more than any other person in this society should at least be treated with dignity and respect. Though we know Keir the traitor Starmer has about as much respect for them as I have of going on a salad-only diet. What this effectively boils down to is it's now no longer just a matter of they're invading our country. It is now they are being assisted in invading our homes, which they have no entitlement to. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. But I know there are going to be a lot of leftoids like Gary Walker's-Lineker, the silly little odious twat, who will say, oh, but we're morally obliged to take them in. We have a humanitarian cause to help them. No, we don't. If it was just women and children, you might have a leg to stand on. And I'm not talking about Captain Hook's wooden peg leg. But if it was women and children, maybe some of us could say, yeah, maybe we should house a few of these people. But as I've said many times before, and I will say it here again, the vast majority of these people coming over here are not coming over here because they're supposedly fleeing war. I mean, some will be, because obviously there's a war going on in Ukraine and what have you. But we can see a lot of people are then starting to take advantage of that situation, whichever country they come from, and they just say, hey, I'm Ukrainian now. And then they can get free housing, free benefits, 3 square meals a day, all at the cost of the taxpayer. And I can assure you of this much free of charge. Not every single one of these people is going to be a Ukrainian. But that's pretty obvious from the way they look, quite frankly. Most of them, as I said, will be fighting-age men. People more than capable of fighting in their own country. But if their country is already, because a lot of these people will be Islamic, let's face it. Not all of them, but a good deal of them will be. Because we've seen what ISIS said, how they said that we will use the migrant crisis to invade the countries with our operatives and what have you. We ended up having over 5,000 ISIS members in the UK. How Islam, over 43,000 terrorists on the watch list. 90% of them are Islamic. But these are all things, of course, the leftoids don't want to listen to, and the mainstream media don't want to tell us about. But that's the thing. They like to think of us as stupid. They like to think of us as people who don't know any better, and that we should do as they say rather than do as they do. There comes a time where we are going to have to fight for our rights and fight for our pensioners, because they won't be able to do that when they are crippled at old age and what have you. And I'm not saying that to be nasty, I'm saying that because generally speaking, as we get older, a lot of us, the vast majority of us, will become less mobile. Who said I'm going to need a tank to move? Shut up, you. Anyway, the point is, our elderly won't be able to continue fighting. That's why we need fighting age men of our own who are able to fight for this country. And I am not talking about going off to fucking Ukraine for Keir the traitor Starmer just so some little dictator, or again, maybe I was right first time, like Zelensky, can enjoy his life of luxury, quite frankly. I'm talking fighting this war that we're in right now. I wonder how these people would feel in their own bloody countries if they were told, well, we've got some of our nationals coming over to your country and we need you to give up your houses for them. They would be up in arms over that shit. They would rip us apart. But we're supposed to accept it and take it here in the UK. But the trouble is, a lot of the people are apathetic. But it seems now these days, there are quite a few people who are preparing for the upcoming war. And let me be clear, I don't want what I suspect is going to happen in the near future, which is we're probably going to end up seeing a civil war. I don't want that. I won't condone it. I won't justify it. I never ever have. The only ones I'd ever condone are those in video games, because at least those are not real, and at least those will never leave the fictional world. But Keir the traitor Starmer cannot seriously expect us to be happy, or the councils for that matter, for us to be happy giving up our homes to third world shithole barbarians who want to subjugate and control us rather than integrate with our society. Nobody would ever want that. If we were to reverse the roles, I guarantee you, we'd have been deported out of our own country. Just like that. You know why? Because Keir the traitor Starmer has already declared his allegiance to the Islamic community. And I'm seeing it more and more and more across the channels on YouTube. I am seeing more and more people realizing we have got to prepare for the worst. That doesn't mean we want the worst, it means we just prepare for it. It's like if you know that you're going to war with another country and there is the potential for nuclear fallout, you prepare to evacuate. You prepare for the absolute worst case scenario. What if a missile is heading to the town you're in? That's the way to look at it. We need to prepare for war, but hope that it doesn't happen. And as I said, I won't condone that shit. I won't condone going to actual war and actually fighting a bloody battle. But what I will condone is the use of lawfare against the very establishment who likely want to persecute the rest of us, as they have Tommy Robinson. And as far as the illegals that are coming over here committing crimes already, we've already got spineless judges who are more interested in protecting the human rights of people who are going around committing dial M for you-know-what, and terrorists coming over here trying to blow us all up in concerts and what have you, or violate our women and with the stroke number 3, our women and children. Why the hell should we be interested in the human rights of people who literally did not give two flying fucks about the human rights of the people they were persecuting, victimizing and all that? That's like a bank robber situation where the police come along, they see the bank robber, arrest him, and then they blame the bank for letting him rob them. It makes no pissing sense. But then these days, what does make sense in this bonkers batshit country that is Britain? But I'll tell you now, anybody tries to get me to move out of a house, if I ever get one in future, if I am a pensioner and I have my own house and the council tried to take it from me, I'm going to give them 2 fingers and tell them to fuck off right now. Because at the end of the day, why should we be allowing people who want to do us harm into our homes? Like, if somebody was standing outside your door with a machete or a knife and they said, let me in, you're not going to let them in. You're going to lock the door, call the police and hope they deal with it. And then probably, I suspect, wait a week while they decide to say, no, we're not going to do anything about it because we're more interested in chasing after Bob, who posted on Facebook that the left wing are fascists or what have you. But as far as this immigration issue is concerned, the only way this shit is going to stop, I've mentioned it many, many times, and I will say it here again, cut off the incentives for them to come. Why do you think they come over here? Some of them do it for purely malicious reasons, but what do you think the main reason people come over here, legal or not? The benefit system. They know that we're a soft touch and we have a benefit system that few can match. We have a benefit system that treats people that come over here like kings, while it treats its own indigenous people like doormats. The next time somebody says roll out the red carpet for them, ask them if it's red because it's drenched in the blood of the British people. And if, of course, the traitors in the nonce party or the councils or the houses of treachery suddenly fall dead silent, you'll have your answer. I think the way we should be looking at this shit is, with our benefit system, I think most ordinary people, or people that genuinely wanted to live here and integrate, they'd be praising the bloody Lord right now at how much we give them. We practically tear off our own arms and give it to them, quite frankly. Or at bare minimum, that might as well be what we're doing because of how much we give them. And our prisons aren't really prisons in most cases. Our prisons are effectively holiday camps, or in this case, training camps for, you know, the I and the letter next to it, haddists. That's the way I look at it. Our camps are training fighters against us of a certain ideologue and a demographic. Yet a lot of the leftoids are more interested in shouting out racist, fascist and all that. Oh, and speaking of racist and fascist, let's talk about, I think her name is Zara Sultana or something like that. You know, the girl who basically put out on X that she was going to basically have a poster with a not allowed sign and Farage in it. Now, when I looked at that, before I even read what Nigel Farage had put, I was like, well, clearly somebody wants this man gone. I mean, that's my first impression. That was before I even read the fucking tweet. That they want to basically get rid of Farage. This woman thinks it's funny, or at least it's a clever idea at minimum, to post a picture of Nigel Farage not being allowed on this earth, basically, when he's already a man who has to have constant security because of the constant threats he's had and the number of attacks he's had against them. Now, I know some people will say, oh, but it's a milkshake, grow up. What about the cement? And moreover to the point, to go back to the milkshake, whether it's banana or strawberry or not, I don't care. It could have been red with blood, for all I know. What if there was acid in there? I mean, it's very easy to actually put in acid into a milkshake and then just, or even disguise the acid in the thing, line it with something, look like a McDonald's milkshake, throw it in someone's face. You can permanently disfigure them, just like that. But that's the thing, a lot of them don't think. They don't see the bigger picture. Maybe I should ask Van Gogh for a bigger frame. Anyway, they don't see the bigger picture of this. They don't see what they're doing by encouraging people or laughing at the fact that Farage got milkshaked or attacked with cement. I don't think they're realising that they're basically inciting violence against the man. And let me be clear, as I've said before, I'm not exactly a big fan of Farage anymore, especially with some alleged rumours that apparently he's going to be stepping down for his 200,000 members or whatever. I don't know if that's wholeheartedly true, so I would take that bit of information with a grain of salt. But what I will say that I know is true is the fact that this man has been persecuted by the state, maybe not on the same levels as Tommy Robinson, but he has been persecuted nonetheless, and he has been attacked by various people who basically want to soil and ruin everything, who think it's perfectly acceptable for people to go around and commit assault towards Farage. And I believe the girl who did throw the milkshake over them, I'm not sure if it was a suspended sentence or if she was let off, but That's the thing. We have a two-tier justice and policing system here in the country where the left are allowed to get away with whatever the fuck they want, while if we even mention anything slightly out of line on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or whatever, we could have the boys sent round, knock down our homes, and we could be sent to jail within the month. Meanwhile, we have people like Axel Ducker Banana who end up having to wait months after they've committed their atrocities of murdering 3 beautiful girls, or Ricky Cutthroat Jones, who's had his fucking trial suspended until August. The guy who basically called for the throats to be cut of the supposed far right. Why is it okay for the left wing to glorify violence against ordinary people? Why is it okay for them to, in America in particular, incite assassination attempts? To incite this kind of violence towards other people? Yet if we even speak about how unjust it is that we're letting in illegal immigrants that are violating our women and children, we could face jail. The illegal immigrants that have no legal or human right to be here, who are bringing their third world shithole cultures over to this country and violating us, nothing gets done about them when they sometimes attack us in plain daylight, where they'll get released on bail or no charge at all. But we can be charged for posts. Like, you couldn't make this up. Like, if you lot didn't know that I was in Norwich or living in the United Kingdom, if I didn't mention this shit, you would think that we were living in North Korea, China or Russia. But no, it's the United Kingdom, though it may very well be turning into Great Britannistan before too much longer. And all this because we have a treacherous, sectarianist bastard for a politician, a prime minister, who wants to put the Islamic community first, rather than do his civic duty towards every English person. The bottom line is these are our homes, this is our country, and this was built on Judeo-Christian heritage, not Islam, not some third world barbarians who want to do nothing but loot, grape and pillage. And the way I slice it, if these people are not willing to integrate with our society, follow our rules, respect our beliefs and our customs, they have no right to be here. If they have come over through illegal means, they have no legal or human right to be here. As I've said before, anybody that comes over to this country, or even lives in this country, that goes out of their way to commit a crime against the people, whether it be burglary, whether it be armed robbery, whether it be murder, whether it be rape, whether it be whatever, all their human rights should be made forfeit. That way, they cannot use Article 8 of the Human Rights Act to be able to stay here. They will not be allowed to use the European courts. Stroke number 4. European Court of Human Rights to be able to stay here. We should not be giving these people the time of day if they are willing to violate our country. Thank you. There's a kid downstairs, so I'll keep the mouth clean, at least for a couple of minutes. Someone passed me the dove. Anyway, the bottom line is, if they don't respect us, they don't respect our cultures, we don't want them. We don't need them, and we certainly shouldn't be extending human rights to them, quite frankly. Do we want genuine women and children? Maybe in a reasonable number, you could argue. But do we want thousands, hundreds of thousands of fighting age men who have no respect for our culture and our societies coming over to ruin this country? You'll find the answer to, I would say, about 90% of people who have that rare resource called common sense. The answer will be no. If I know somebody to be English, if I know somebody who actually has contributed to society and is actually in it for us, would I open my home to them? I probably could for a time, but I couldn't let them fully stay here, because obviously I've got a contract with my council, and if I break the contract, I'm out on my arse, and it's a pretty big arse, and it will cause a 6.2 earthquake. So I do not want that shit. But what it boils down to is we need to be looking after our own people first. We need to stop the foreign aid. We need to put gunboats along the shore. We need to take away the incentives that make people want to come over here in the first place. Only when we start being robust will they get the message. Australia was turning back the boats way back yonder. And what happened? People started to realise we're not being welcomed if we come by this route, so we may as well not bother, and the boats stopped coming. Why don't we do the same? Make it so if they try to come over via these ways, these passages and what have you, we will sink their boats, take them back, and they will not be welcome. But as I said, it's more the incentives they do it for more than anything. A nice ban for 3 years from all benefits should stop that. Oh, the boats would then stop real quick because they know they won't get the luxury life they've been hoping for. We, the British people, are very hospitable to people who respect us. But if you are not willing to respect us and our cultures, our societies, and our beliefs, then you can get the next plane or boat back and go back to whichever country that you came from.